So one thing I just wanted to bring up really quickly. Wow, it's deleted. Okay, this is really interesting that it's deleted. So what I'm about to pull up is from a Reddit page called ICE ERO, and that is Enforcement and Removal Operations. These are the people who just follow orders and remove our friends, family, and community members from their homes, schools, and workplaces, take them away from their children with cancer, take them away from their own cancer treatment, and lock them in facilities without medical treatment, proper beds, bathrooms, or food. And all the centrists and Republicans support it because they lack empathy. Because they lack empathy. Because they're stupid. What's interesting here is the post is deleted by a moderator, I would guarantee you. Oh, by the person who originally posted it? Then why is their account deleted too? Okay, whatever. Okay. Is that how it works? I don't really use Reddit a lot. Okay. This post was about how they declined a job offer to work with ICE. And they said they'd been wanting to work with ICE for like over a decade. I'm not joking. I read the post. And everyone was really supportive. It's a really interesting Reddit. Like, this is a Reddit for people who are actually joining ICE. And they're like, am I going to be kicked out because I'm like not fit? This person hasn't received a paycheck since 9/7. Look at all these people. Yeah, look at all these people. So it is fascinating. They're working with no pay. And it's so interesting because you can read all these posts and you can get an extremely in-depth look at what's going on. And the morale is not great. And this person declined a job offer after a decade of wanting to join ICE. And then a lot of other people are like, I totally understand. They said, my heart and mind told me nope. It's, and other people very understanding. The reason they said is like, it just didn't feel right and they couldn't go through with it. It sounds like they really don't, Wow. Yeah, by the way, they're making all these men like move. Like, these men are so disconnected from their communities and their families and friends that they're willing to just up and move like across the country to throw migrants in cages. Seriously. All of them are having to move. An enormous number of them are moving to do these jobs. Anyways, so morale's not looking good for the just following orders fellas. And they're like, well, maybe I could just follow an order to learn empathy, but I don't know how to do that because I've never been to therapy. Therapy doesn't solve everything, but it does help you reflect on your actions and decide whether you're comfortable throwing migrants in cages. That's one of the main benefits of therapy. Right now we have a segment that we actually did kind of start. I believe this was last time. But now it has a name, because last time it was just like, oh, look at this like thing I found or something. But now it's called Checking In with Our Boys in Brown. So checking in with our boys in brown, there is a Reddit page for men or people in general who want to just follow orders and throw migrants in cages by joining immigration and customs enforcement and removal operations. They have a lot of issues and they want to feel like a big man. And so some of them, go to this subreddit and they say, how do I, join? Why are the emails confusing? Do I have to be in shape? How do you sleep at night? They don't really say that last one, but I've already been kicked out of this group because I did have to intervene at one point and say, wow, yeah, just throw away your whole life and move across the country to throw migrants in cages. And after a brief exchange, I did get removed. But I'm still following because our boys in brown are, really, they're there and they're little guys on this website. Boys in brown obviously referenced to the brown shirts. Maybe not a perfect parallel, but I thought it was appropriate. Brown Hemden or Sturmabteilung. Checking in with our boys in brown. I just thought this was really interesting. The post we looked at last week was deleted, but this one was not deleted, and I think part of that is because this is a moderator who posted it. I don't see it now, but it was like it said that on the other version of the page. When I was looking at it, it said it was a moderator. But I don't know because when you go to the Reddit, it doesn't really show you the moderators. They don't tell you who the mods are, so you can't see. The mod list is hidden, which I actually have never seen on a Reddit page before, but it's probably normal. Violations of OBSEC will result in removal without warning. Yeah, also criticizing ICE resulted in me getting blocked. So, this person posted, they were like, hey, we're having a lot of people who are out of shape, who are unprofessional, who are not mentally ready, people who can't even pass open note exams, a lot of surge hires, and these men should know they could be fired pretty much whenever because they're, being hired under such strange conditions. And yeah, a lot of people, and this is funny because it's like the person who's like, I take pride in my job. We're not just about deporting people, we're trying to have like a good time here. We're not a deport them all, tough talk, racist nonsense. Buddy, tell that to the people running your agency and the people who are your boss's boss, bro. Like, when you have a cultural issue and like a environmental issue in your organization, often the what is it, the animal, the freaking fish rots from the head or whatever it's called. So yeah, we got lots of issues, a lot of men who are like, I didn't want to do this, I'm just gonna keep being a cop because this hiring process has been a joke. One person in this comment said that they never interacted with a person in the hiring process. They got like offered a job and never interacted with a person. This person, they says they didn't speak to one human face to face and they were like taken on, I think is what this means. Yeah, so, a lot of people appreciating the post to try to understand, oh, okay, yeah, this is what's going on here behind the scenes. Oh, this person's felt denied. Never got a call. Moving on. Yeah, I guess you just didn't have the zest for just following orders, I guess. Someone in here said like 95% of ICE's paperwork. So, a lot of these men are probably like not able to do that if they can't read. I don't, you know what I mean? But just something to think about, if you are going to move across the country or, travel many hours to throw migrants and people with legal status and citizens in cages and deport them. Something to think about, whether, maybe check out this page, make sure you're happy with how things are being run over there at the Just Following Orders Gestapo. Okay. So that's that. We didn't go into too much detail. I think it was the right amount of detail. Just checking in with our boys in brown. Checking in with our boys in brown is obviously when we go to the ICE ERO. That's Immigration Customs Enforcement and Removal Operations. I believe both E's refer to enforcement. I could be wrong. Anyways, this is the subreddit, the website page where men who would they're just kind of, it's not that they want to throw migrants in cages. It's more that they don't mind throwing migrants in cages. Some of them want to. Mostly it's that they don't mind. And I just wanted to check in and see how our boys in brown are doing. So first up, we got this post. Anyone else having trouble viewing the job portal? I haven't been able to get on it for weeks. I know it's not the greatest, but can at least see if applications are still active. People are saying it's down and useless. And someone drops the link, and yep, it's not working. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. See, it says ... if you can see. That's apparently the portal where you would go to check in on your job application to throw migrants in cages. So next up on checking in with our boys in brown, HR and field office person of command or something not responding. Has anyone else had difficulty getting HR? Can you imagine working in HR at ICE? Hey, we've gotten some complaints that you're not violent enough with the migrants, and it's making some of the other guys feel a little bit judged. Okay. So anyone have any trouble getting these field offices to respond? I know they're slammed and beyond busy right now, but I'm wondering if something is wrong. I have not received any letter or correspondence saying my tentative offer was rescinded or any other adverse information. I'm probably overthinking, but wondering if anyone else has had similar experiences. Yep. What are we emailing them about? You're not a priority until you're through the door, and even then, they're still overworked and not being paid. They don't answer emails. Yes, I'm dealing with similar stuff. Someone jokes that you could check their hiring portal, the one we just talked about. A guy I work with applied a few months back and didn't hear anything back for a couple months. He got his offer and starts next week. Another buddy applied and got a response the next day. He's finished his onboarding and waiting for next steps to throw migrants in cages. I applied a couple months back and haven't heard anything. It's discouraging seeing others get selected while I wait. I've been told no news is good news. Okay. I hope to hear when you're trying to get a job and you're like, no news is good news. I mean, just to be clear, like, you know, in a serious way, like, this problem does come from the fact that our economic system is not very good. A lot of people are looking for work, and we do need to provide opportunities for people to have jobs that are actually doing good things for the, you know, for the common good. And so it's perfectly reasonable for our government to invest in hiring people, just not to throw migrants in cages. We should do it to, like, you know, help our systems function better, to work in, you know, fields like healthcare that actually help people, building infrastructure, doing, you know, things that actually help people. So I just need to say that because that is really key. You need to understand, like, this problem is not just that all these dudes are racist. It's, you know, a lot of them are just like fairly average men in every way. And like, we just need to give them opportunities to like do things that are useful in society. So it's not all like these dudes' problem. I think it's important to look at the systemic issue here. I do just think it's really funny that they're being tortured by this hiring process. Yeah, it's just like, it's a mess. The field office shit is a gamble. HR finally responded to my emails, sending updates and questions 2 days after I had what's HR claim? Oh, wait, that's for JP Morgan Chase. Wait, Reddit thinks JP Morgan Chase is similar to the ICE page. Not wrong. And lastly, on checking in with our boys in brown, removed from, this is I looked it up, Federal Law Enforcement something center. It's like where they do, it's just the centers. Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. Okay. One guy in my class just got removed from the center because of a tattoo he had. An instructor accused him of being in a gang and told him once he clears background, he can come back. The guy had a previous background check cleared by an FBI agent and his previous federal agency. Is it possible to come back? Oh, it sounds like this guy made a friend, and he's like, my friend with the funny tattoo got kicked out. The thing is, if you have weird tattoos and you're joining ICE, it's better if it's a swastika rather than, you know, like any symbol that looks like it could, you know, be not a swastika. So I think they have like a swastika tattoos only system at ICE. So unfortunately, yeah. Oh, I guess there was a photo of the tattoo, or someone responded saying it was a Latin Kings tattoo. I don't know how they know because they didn't mention what it was. What? Was the post edited? How does someone know it's a Latin Kings tattoo? Okay, whatever. Anyways. Someone said, if we're going to use tattoos to identify gang affiliation for undocumented migrants, we might as well do it for the ones doing the removing. It's only fair. Wow, these guys are really mean to each other. Oh, this was funny. Someone says, what instructor... I guess they said which field office it was? How do they know? How do these guys know which field office is being talked about? I don't see it mentioned. Okay, I don't know how they know which field office is being talked about, but they do. And this person says, which instructor... Some of them are miserable twats, like the little man DT instructors that always wears a cap. He pops up out of nowhere. That's the director. Oh, good. No, the director is tall and has curly hair. The mini-me midget... The mini-me guy who I'm referring to is who I'm referring to. White Tesla guy, Kumquat. We call him 10-4. Lol, hate that dude. Most of the ICE instructors here are D-bags. Whoa, that's shocking. All fucking condescending and try to belittle you. Really? You're telling me they have daddy issues? Interesting. Lots of I should say unresolved, untreated, unhealthily expressed daddy issues. There's nothing wrong with having daddy issues per se. Lots of fake wannabe tough guys with how they talk and carry themselves. Shocking. In the Goon Squad? Some of the DT instructors are that way too, or they spew some false crap about if you're not in FI stance, you'll automatically be the weakest link in the field and the one a undocumented migrant goes after. Wow, that's wild that the ICE instructors are D-bags? Whoa, are you telling me they're on some sort of power trip or something? Whoa, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to process this. Whoa, damn. Wow. The ICE instructors are D-bags. On a power trip. Wow. That's really, I'm just having a hard time processing that right now. D-bags. Okay, it's almost like they select for that. Checking in with our boys in brown. And obviously, boys in brown meaning the just following orders fellas in ICE. The Gestapo goon brown shirts who are just looking for a job in a public employment program that we've been picking up with here in the United States. So maybe we should be doing public employment programs for stuff that helps people instead of throwing migrants in cages, as well as throwing citizens and other, semi-citizens, people with green cards, people with legal status, people seeking asylum, people legally seeking asylum, wrongfully being thrown behind bars. Mothers, fathers, grandmothers, children. So I like to check in with the boys in brown, and they have a Reddit page called ICE ERO for Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Removal Operations. I do not know why enforcement is in it twice, but whatever. Will you guys... So they have a page where they ask each other questions like, how do you sleep at night? I'm just kidding. They don't ask that one. And I did already get kicked out of the group for, doing some counterpoints. And not that I use Reddit. I would never use Reddit. I just mean hypothetically. And so, anyways, here we go. 5 days ago, will you guys get Christmas off? And it is funny that it's you guys. So I don't know if this person not work for them. People say no. People say yes. And then you signed up for this. New boots can't expect to get Christmas off. No. So it seems like no is like the no. So just when you all are enjoying your Christmas, just know that there are men who have so few options in life that the best way they can use their time is to help throw migrants in cages, administratively or physically, on Christmas. But it is what Jesus would have wanted, right? That's what he died for, I think, right? I don't know. I'm Jewish. I didn't really learn what he died for. But I don't think... I think it might have not exactly been to throw migrants in cages. I feel like he might have not been such a fan of that. Next up on checking in with our boys in brown, entrance exam, essay. What's the essay about? You're given 25 minutes to type a 200-word essay. Anyone know what the topic is about? And it is funny to just see how mean they all are to each other. They're just mean to each other. So okay, I don't know. I guess there's not a lot of comments. I can't read all the comments for some reason. I have to log in, but I don't have oh, here we go. What are the chances of me passing? Slim. Why is that? If you claim it's cake and ask your chances of passing, I'm just asking a question. Really interested in this position. Is there poly? Yeah, you're allowed to be poly while you're working for ICE. I think you're allowed to be poly. They limit you to 3 romantic partners. But yeah, no, I'm just joking. They're obviously talking about polygraph because our government uses an anti-scientific test to essentially gaslight people into admitting things when they apply for jobs. And lastly, on checking in with our boys in brown, stop with your PT questions. This person was very upset. I'm sick and tired of seeing PT questions on here. Yes, you're doing the PT test. I don't give a flying fuck if you're a prior law enforcement, SEAL Team 6, or fitness influencer. Maybe it'll include sit-ups, maybe not. So this is because like every fifth post on this page is like, am I going to have to do sit-ups? Am I going to have to run? So this person is very upset. You know what I mean? They're very annoyed. Treat people, and then first comment, treat people like humans can't be said enough. I guess that was mentioned here. Be a good coworker, maintain your fitness, treat people like humans. Okay, so it was sort of mentioned at the end, but okay. Treat people like humans, top comment, can't be said enough. Our new hires are severely lacking in this department. I wonder why that might be. Why are the new hires hired under a very vicious and mean administration that's actively making a very broken and mean immigration system even more broken and mean and lacking in empathy? Why would these new hires, who are incentivized by literal propaganda through like from the government, why would they be lacking in the ability to treat people like humans? Maybe the fish is rotting from the head. And yeah. So anyways, it's just interesting to think about. A lot of people very happy that someone finally said it, mostly about the PT complaints. But it is very true that apparently they're having a hard time with new hires not wanting to treat people like humans. Huh. I wonder. It's almost like they're treating people like aliens. Interesting. This is when we check in with the just following orders goons in the ICE Gestapo, who are just following orders. There's a Reddit page we talk about where they post their deepest thoughts and they try to connect with each other and form some emotional bonds. And they say, do you ever feel like when you throw a migrant in a cage, it kind of like helps you process some of like the challenges you went through? And the other guys are like, you know what? I sometimes do feel that way. But here we see a post. So post EOD. So I wanted to make this post for anyone that will be, this person says they wanted to make this post for anyone that will be relocating to another field office, as I get to speak from experience. As a heads up, it's because I've been talking about this, how these fellas are moving across the country to throw migrants in cages because they have no job opportunities, and the federal government is only offering them this option, not anything that would actually help their communities or other people in the world. This person says, as a heads up, it's wise to be cautious about relocating to a field office for EOD right now. You will be responsible for your hotel, plane ticket, and rental car, which alone isn't the biggest of deal. Yeah, it is. Are you kidding me? They want you to move to a new place to throw migrants in cages, and they won't even help put you up in a hotel or give you a rental car? You don't think that's a weird red flag? My MSS told me as I was starting... Mission support specialist. Okay. The issue comes into play when you EOD and they cannot tell you when your flex date will be, so when you're going to start training. My mission support supervisor told me as I was starting that the longest anyone had to house themselves in a hotel was a month. So you have to put yourself up for a month in a hotel before you start getting paid. That's thousands of dollars. That is thousands of dollars, let alone food. Like, and driving, and what are you doing with your time? And like, what if it doesn't work out, right? So the longest anyone had to house themselves in a hotel was a month. Not that it's a policy, just that that's how it happened to work out. So that's the precedent I had, this person says. However, a few weeks into employment and paying for a hotel, I have to push some buttons to get an answer about my training start date. The answer I got, March/April of 2026, 3 or 4 months away. Just be aware and prepared to spend more than you'll be making for a while. Nonetheless, I'm very thankful for this opportunity to throw migrants in cages and would sleep on the streets if I had to. But not everyone shares my circumstances. Good luck and Godspeed. People say, imagine you do all this and don't clear background. Someone says, look at a long-term hotel. Might be a little cheaper. Try this website. Thank God I already finished. Fully prepared to live in my truck and shower at truck stops if that's what it takes to throw migrants in cages. This person recommends Planet Fitness. Oh, I love to see boys just helping each other out. Y'all sound like you're getting treated worse than Army. So, hey, if it's worth it and you have literally no other job opportunities, or maybe you have like a deep-seated xenophobia, or you feel like maybe it'll finally make, someone respect you who doesn't respect you, then maybe it's worth it. You know what I mean? Spend literally thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars to support yourself waiting for a job opening at the Throwing Migrants in Cages facility, where you can either administratively or physically throw migrants in cages. Or throw citizens in cages, let's be real. There's been a bit of that going on too. So yeah, boys in brown, oof, they are struggling. Some of these brown shirts are like, what the heck? I can't even buy a shirt. So we like to check in with the boys in brown. We head over to the Reddit page, ICE ERO, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement and Removal Operations, because they like to say enforcement twice. Oops. Not a lot of writers working at ICE. We check on the page. We make sure they're all doing okay, because they've been having a rough go of it. They're feeling like throwing migrants in cages is not the fulfillment that they thought it would be in some of these opportunities, and so they're feeling kind of drained, and there's a little bit of a burnout situation going. This person posted 3 days ago, said, withdrawing my application. They got an employment offer or something, EOD 1229, but have not done medical or background form. It seems that there's just way too much disorganization to take a chance to move into the field office area, and they keep shifting dates and locations around. I'd be living out of a hotel or Airbnb. This is what we talked about last week, that ICE, the Goon Squad, is actually making these gentlemen not only move across the country to throw migrants in cages, because many of them seem happy to do that, but also pay to put themselves up for a month or 2 months or 3 months while they wait to throw migrants in cages. Yikes. Can you imagine a job doing that? It's unheard of. Oh, can you put yourself up in a hotel for a few months while we wait to kind of get you started? No. I'm poor. That's why I'm taking this government job. Okay. They keep shifting dates and locations. I'd be living out of a hotel. I'd be uprooting from where I am now. I wish things were just a bit more organized or sure so we could all actively plan better. They say everything's a shit show. It says I'm not about to drop my life in another area just to jump into the shit show. Well, maybe you have a few more things going for you than some of these gentlemen. So I feel about the same about how unorganized it's been, and I basically told my HR person I want to push my EOD until I finish all the hiring stuff, such as polygraph test, background, PFT medical, because if they fail any of those things, then they've wasted a bunch of time, effort, and money. They scheduled my medical for a date I couldn't get out of work. I emailed both the person that sent me the appointment as well as my HR point of contact about rescheduling, and neither would reply or give me an answer. I was also looking for clarity on additional things as well, such as if I qualify for a GS7 or whatever the rank is rather than GS5, because I have a bachelor's, and she basically just responded, I don't have answers for you. Anyway, I was basically like, I want to base employment offer date on a ballpark of when all those steps are done. Understanding is different, but they're just giving me nothing I definitely don't feel good about leaving a secure job for one I can't even get basic answers for. So, Yep. My generative came in, started the onboarding staffing paperwork. On the drive to my piss test, they called to see if I could start on 12/29. I asked them if they were serious. He said yes. Nothing was completed yet. No background, medical, physical, piss test, or interview. Don't get me wrong. I want the job, but this is more of a shit show than I'm used to. I've been working for the Fed since 2007. We never hire people as fast, and if we are, what kind of quality applicants are we getting? Very poor quality. We've seen that in previous posts. I called the field office point of contact to voice my concerns. He said they may be moving from 4 staff to 30 in his office. I guess that's good. I really don't know. Called a homie at the training facility. He did not have a lot of good things to say about this mass hire. As much as I would like to have this job, I think I'm going to pass, not to mention I was given a not to exceed 4-year term position. F that. My biggest fear is that after new administration comes in, we'll all get, I looked it up. It's like, God. Reductions in force. Fired, essentially. And applying to any new law enforcement agencies might look at my time in the goon squad Gestapo as a black eye because I was throwing migrants in cages and part of a administration that is clearly autocratic and racist. Good luck to anyone who takes a job. Do good. We need trustworthy officers. Yeah, good luck doing good. So great. So everything, yeah, so that's what it's like to be applying to ICE. And let's check in with a few more Goon Squad posts. This person says that their employment offer date was postponed 2 weeks, and they found out just a couple days before it was postponed. And keep in mind, these people are often like, they have moved, they're paying rent, they're paying for hotel, they're putting themselves up, they've moved. That's very common. Oh, another 2 weeks. You don't mind, right? So a lot of people just got delayed. This person's going to bow out of the process. I'm glad I wasn't one of the people who quit their job. Yep. This person says, I just got this email, postponed EOD until late January. Weird because I have all onboarding requirements done and recently retired law enforcement of 25 plus years. Also have a current clearance for some contract federal background work. Yeah, well, maybe you should just like get a job not throwing migrants in cages. And lastly, on checking in with our boys in brown, another person who got a revised EOD. Uh-oh, a lot of people saying, whoopsies, I guess I gotta figure out how to be unemployed for another month. Because I wasn't needed yet to throw migrants in cages. So maybe get a job that involves helping people. You don't have to be a therapist, but you could go into a helping profession of a lot of different kinds. There's a lot of jobs where you feel like, I help people. Even if you're just working at a desk at a health center or something, or you're taking calls at a support line or something, like you're helping people. You're doing a job that needs to be done and you're helping people. You're not just throwing migrants in cages and throwing citizens in cages too. Let's be clear. One thing I like to do also here on the podcast for the next segment is checking in with our boys in brown. So obviously our brown shirts in ICE, the Gestapo, similar agencies, they're struggling. They're having a hard time. They're having some crises of faith these days, and I like to check in with them, just kind of see how they're doing, see what it's like for them. How are they enjoying throwing migrants in cages? Is it a difficult process for them to get to that point? Is it tough for them to wait and go through all the administrative stuff? Well, there's a Reddit page where you can see what these goons are saying to each other, frankly. These men who, young and old, who are looking for work and, maybe want to throw some migrants in cages or eventually kind of be able to do that. They go on to ICE ERO, which stands for Immigration Customs Enforcement and Removal Operations. That's right. There's 2 enforcements. The word enforcement is in it twice for some reason. As I said, not a lot of writers in these departments, so let's see what they're saying on this Reddit page. Okay, this person says, unsuitable. Unfortunately, I got the email after already enter on duty for 2 weeks. EOD is like when they start. So they've been working for 2 weeks after a long process of getting hired. And then they were told, failure to honor just debts. Crazy part is I had payment plans, but there's no option for appeal or to show them my payment plan. So this person was found unsuitable to be a Gestapo goon after working for 2 weeks. Nobody told you at your field office. They say my supervisor told me, and then I got an email today shortly after. So after working for 2 weeks. So appeal it, collections. Oh yeah, so I guess they have debts. That's interesting. This person says they're worried when they do their background check, they'll get they'll get some issues because they were working with a debt management company and then was laid off back in April and couldn't keep up with payments. So this person posting said I had a similar situation. So apparently being in debt means you can't be a Gestapo goon, which is tough because a lot of people are in debt these days. And yeah, they don't give you a chance. They just say, "Oops, you can't throw migrants in cages because you have too much debt." So that's interesting. But they did allow you to go through the whole process first. Um, okay. So, wow. Wow, that's a lot of debt. Wow, it's so rough out there, honestly. I mean, like, so many people are in debt, and then they obviously just, like, need stable work, and the government says, well, if you throw migrants in cages, this person's prior LEO, too. Wow. So next up, we got another Boys and Brown post, another unsuitable person, kind of long, but venting as a former Marine and something vet. I applied for Gestapo goons in early September this year, like many Americans who like to throw migrants in cages because I believe in the mission of throwing migrants in cages, and I made it all the way to the enter on duty on the 29th of December, just to be told myself, along with 8 other people, background did not clear yet. And we were, keep in mind, you're probably not looking for jobs for several months because you're told, oh, okay, I'm going to get this job. You know, as we've said in other weeks, like some of them are moving across the country. Some of them are putting themselves up in hotels for months. Literally. I was found I was unsuitable to work with ICE. I understand the risks when I put my 2 weeks in for this job. I thought I was getting hired for, but I was honest when they asked me about my past. I was a network engineer for my city in Texas, passed their background check. Completely honest with them about my past as I was with ICE, and I feel like I'm being punished for it. Since that incident from a previous job, I learned the hard way about strength. My fault for getting fired from an old job. I'm confused. So I was network engineer for. I'm confused. That's the concern. ICE is issuing EOD dates without conducting. Right. So that's the main problem. I am confused about this person because it sounds like they used to work for ICE too. It's something maybe confused. But that's the problem is that people are given dates to start work. They're just being jerked around. It's like, yeah, I would feel bad for them if they weren't trying to throw migrants in cages. And by the way, citizens too. Not that it matters because people are people. So people are taking significant risks because it's rough out there. This person says, happened to me as well. 7 years law enforcement in Texas, did 2 weeks at police department for EOD, or PD, I don't know what that is. Did 2 weeks at something, 3 days before start, never mind rescind job offer. ICE is a shit show right now, bro. Keep your head up. Failed poly. So if they failed a polygraph test 5 years ago, they can't be an ICE, even though polygraph tests are fake and not science. It's very interesting. Basically, I was fired for stealing time. I'm 100% my fault, and I paid for it leading up to this. Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, this person was fired for stealing time, and then they lied about it. That's interesting. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, so they didn't mention it in the story. That's why I was confused. Okay. Because on 2 occasions, they left work an hour early and didn't tell anyone to pick up their kid from school. They stole time. They stole 2 hours of work to pick up their child from school. People say there's no way you were denied for that. Well, that's what they said. And lastly, on the just following orders, goons, Gestapo, checking in with our boys in brown segment, who are the idiots on this call ruining it for everyone and not following simple instructions? So apparently there was a call that a bunch of people were on, and some guys were acting up a little bit. So, someone named Trevin is about to get fired. So it's interesting. A lot of people upset about it. 90% of the people being hired on would not get hired with a typical police department. This is their only chance getting into the profession. Scary thought, all the morons who will be with enforcement and removal operations. And this is coming from someone who, like, they're not like me, you know what I mean? Like, they actually, like, want to throw migrants in cages. They just want to do it more professionally. So this is just important for showing you all, who are probably more in my political realm, that even Republican, conservative, law enforcement loving people are super unhappy with the ramshackle and reckless hiring process of the Gestapo goons right now. So I just wish all these men a very alternative job opportunity, because I believe that a lot of these people are probably not, awful people. They just need opportunities to do work that they can support themselves and their families with and pay off their debts without hurting people. Like, they are hurting people by throwing migrants and citizens in cages. And that's hurting a lot of people in communities. So hopefully these men can find better things to do with themselves, because you only live once. And your friends and family might eventually see what you're doing as despicable. And you might too.